Now let's move to our next part of the program, and this is actually a very exciting part, talking about the VLab Award. We started this tradition many years ago. Actually, Karim was the first person to get this award 10 years ago, and we have amazing people who have received this recognition. Those are people that are either enablers in the ecosystem, entrepreneurs who have accomplished a lot, or people who are investing in the space, and we want to recognize them because we want to tell everybody those are amazing examples. So the person we're going to have today is actually an AUC graduate and alumni, and very happy to have her with us today. She's someone who worked in technology for several years, 15 years. She was one of the people who worked in the telecom industry and other industries. She graduated from AC Computer Science and then went to do her MBA in Imperial College. And then after that, she went to work on a startup, actually in partnership with our friends at A15, and for a very interesting idea. We'll have a conversation about that. The startup started growing 2014 in the fintech and payment before the whole space was evolving. And then it had one of the most inspiring exits, call it a dragon exit. We'll talk about what that means. Basically, an exit that returned more than the whole fund. Was one of the most successful exits in Egypt. And then after that, like any serial entrepreneur, she sat on the board of this company as a chairman for a while, and then she decided now it's time to do another startup in the green space, which is one of the most exciting spaces. So it's my pleasure to actually introduce our friend, Sahar Salama, the ex-chairman and CEO of Tpay for this award. And I would like to invite our president, provost, and dean to the stage to help me give her the award, please. So now we want to have a conversation with Sahar. This is our first fireside chat, just talking to her about her journey, what has happened, where did she start, how did her journey evolve. So let's start from the beginning. Actually, let's start from the startup, because I think that's the most important thing. So what's the story behind the starting of Tpay? What is Tpay, what does it do, and what's the story behind that?
First of all, I'm very honored to be here, and honestly, I am an AUCN myself, graduated since '95, and you know, look, 20 plus years forward, being among you here does create a lot of energy inside me to continue my journey even further. So Tpay has been a 10 years journey in my life that started actually in the early days where everything entrepreneurship happened in Egypt, 2012 time to 2013. And it was a spin-out or spin-off within a strong, very early on incubation program, or the first corporate incubator program in Egypt back then was named OT Ventures. Now it's called A15. And I was working in the telco sector and in the group of the telcos back in different subsidiaries since 2006. And I had enough exposure during my job to have the guts to think and dream of something different in Egypt and in the Middle East and in the region, based on what I've seen in my years of experience of 2006 till I started Tpay, supported by OT Ventures. And basically, basically Tpay was the first mobile payment platform that was focusing on the digital economy and was trying to solve for the inclusion gap from a different dimension, basically trying to leverage on the most important infrastructure that has 100% access of the populations around the world, which are the telecommunication sector. Every one of us is already a subscriber attached to a network of a telco across the region. Back then, when I started Tpay, the financial inclusion problem was as harsh as maximum 3% of the populations of our countries, Middle East and North Africa, had access to a payment method, basically. And Tpay started 2014 from Egypt, but with a vision to be a regional play since day one. We launched in Egypt, Saudi, UAE in parallel in 2014. We had the journey for 2 to 3 years within every single telco to partner with and to create the technical infrastructure that makes it happen, to have the first profitable micropayment platform cross-border that works for digital transactions in the region.
So, Sahar, just in plain English, what does Tpay do exactly? So, who would be using it here and to do what?
So, if you're already paying using your mobile number inside your Google applications or inside your Apple applications in Egypt, this is the backbone of Tpay. If you're paying for Shahid, plus if you're paying for a game using a mobile number, your normal mobile number, this would be Tpay. So it's basically allows every single user that has an identity, which is a normal mobile number, and access to funds, whether prepaid or postpaid lines, to be able to transact using these funds in micro portions in order to purchase or subscribe for digital services across the region. All of the e-learning platforms, we're a B2B to C platform, so you will never find the brand Tpay in front of you. And this was by design, by the way, because this is the mandate or the need of the digital economy players, the likes of the Netflix, the likes of Anghami, the likes of Shahid, the likes of Google and Apple, etc., Huawei. They would never allow you to go beside their ecosystem or outside their ecosystem and come back. They control everything in the user, the journey. We are just an enabler to allow the populations of our region to be part of the digital economy and to have a financial identity using their access or their normal mobile number. So this was the simple story of Tpay.
And that's 10 years ago when nobody was talking about this.
This was 10 years ago. And this was apparently not even in the acceptable, in terms of regulations, in terms of partnerships with operators, in terms of business models, commissions, etc. So we had to build this incrementally over the years. 2 to 3 years down the road, we were a de facto payment method in the region with every single country. We were operating in 12 countries. And we were accessing the 100% populations of every single country we have.
Tell us a little bit, Sahar, about this regional growth. Most companies start in their home country, Egypt, and spend several years. You started regional from the get-go, and then you went into 12 countries with probably more than 300 million in population, actually more than that.
Yeah, this was year 4, but in year 10, we were in 22 countries, actually, across the Middle East and Africa. And why? Why multiple countries? And I get this question so many times. I have this, this region is a small region. It's a small region in terms of population, and it's a fragmented region, and it's politically very fragile region. So if you do a platform play, and this is what we're in the platform play, and you want to leverage the technology, which is currently the cloud and the cross-border is enabled by technology like never before. Of course, 2014 was a starting point for the cloud and the SaaS models and the businesses as a service kind of model, but currently it's more and more affordable to really play a platform, technology platform play. So in this, let's say, profile of a region, it's very important to really be able to build from day one the infrastructure and the go-to-market to be able to export easily at a fraction of a cost whatever services you're doing successfully inside the country to the other. There is no vertical depth in the platform model. And if your business is a platform as a service in any manners, currently I recommend that the best successful model is to go it doesn't have to be all countries, but like it has to have a balanced scorecard that can really makes you survive during the first few years of the company in order to really fly after that and invest further in the countries that do make sense. And across the journey of Tpay, we had it all from the geopolitical and economical clash. I mean, if I didn't have the portfolio of GCC, I wouldn't survive the 2016 kind of devaluation, et cetera, et cetera. So it did help me a lot. Also, the leverage of the partnerships, international partnerships. A single international partner would go for the size of a small country in the region. So in order to give these countries opportunity to be part of a big play, which they deserve, then you need to be able to play this intermediate role to give them the access to the likes of Egypt country and the ARPU of the likes of Saudi and UAE, but also the small countries in Jordan and in Palestine and in countries as well like Bahrain and Qatar. Nobody cares about if you don't do this play in a way multi-country by design.
So eventually the region has to act as one,
exactly,
whether we like it or not, and that's actually part of the future, is to act as one. Let me ask you about the exits. So most of everybody in Egypt or in the region is thinking about startups and investments. But the reality is you also have to think about where is this company going and what is the exit. Tell us a little bit about the story of the Tpay exit.
I owe the success of Tpay a big time to the OT Ventures who, school that really gave me, because they trained me, they coached me, they showed me how to really create a success story. Exit is a success. It is the ultimate game, in a way. You create, you cannot really, in our region, to start something and imagine that you will continue raising forever and call this success. Raising is important milestone, important criteria, but at the end, you have to have milestones, even partial milestones, even interim milestones that really shows where you can liquidate and get the ROI for the investors in a way or another. Tpay started 2014, 2018, which is 4 years down the road, we had our exit, majority exit, to a private equity fund from UK focused on the African play. And this was the extension or the expansion part of our roadmap for Tpay, the rest of Africa, SSA, and hence what the synergy. And yes, it's a lot of work. to plan for exit, not to plan only for growth and for raising money. And it has to be in the DNA of the team and the investors on the table, in my opinion, from day one, in order to reach there, because it's a very complex process.
Sahar, before jumping to talking about the future and your next venture, you spent a big half of your career on the technical side, and then suddenly you moved to being the founder and CEO of a company that became actually a very big company after that. So what is it like moving from being a techie to actually being a CEO?
I think for my generation, it has been a very tough decision, because currently, 10 years or 12 years down the road, it's more and more, let's say, supported by the ecosystem, by the region, by the dynamics of the corporate and the startup world to make this shift. But you know, back in 2012 time and 13 time, to move from a pure corporate sector employee to a kind of entrepreneur / investor / CEO was a very tough decision. But I did believe, because let me phrase it this way, I believe that this is the best scenario that can happen for investors. If you have a very deep domain expertise and experience and exposure, not only in a vertical, corporate, or country or sector, actually multi-discipline exposure does help a lot in making a robust entrepreneur and a robust survival kind of figure, because starting something big is one thing, but really scaling it and taking it to the next level is much harder. And I think that till now, even the most successful stories in our region are still young in stating that we have the experience to taking it to the next level. So basically, I think that you cannot just, very few people can have no experience and then start their own companies and take it to the next level, I would say. So my 20 years experience before, like 15 years, 18 years experience before starting Tpay did contribute indirectly to a lot of the day-to-day and the strategic and the, you know, like all of the tactical moves inside Tpay and the interaction with the investors.
Sahar, you're moving now to a new startup. You shifted from the CEO role, then you went after the acquisition to the chairman role, and now you're actually doing it again. You're probably one of the few serial entrepreneurs who've exited and starting a new company in Egypt. I think it's probably a handful of people that we can count in this category. So tell us about Sandbase, and tell us actually about the motivation to get into Sandbase and the story behind that.
Yeah. It's very tempting, Ayman, when you have an exit to think that you can have, and especially in the age range where you've done 30 years of your career, 25 years work of your career, to go and say a retirement phase. I think that, or the reason I wanted to get into a new venture with a different mode of execution and different blend is that I thought that I have to give back to the region, to the community, to the country, a lot of what I gained during my exposure and experience. And honestly, I could not see that there are channels that I could give back by just being partially contributing to whatever events or forums or whatever. And being an operator person by nature and hands-on person by nature, I was dreaming to find my next passion story that has 3 ingredients basically. And if I want an impact kind of cause, next startup story. I wanted a platform from a business point of view, a business model that really I know how to create and operate and feel comfortable with. And I want a multi-region story, again, seeing lots of the startups currently in the region, not only in Egypt, really struggling to have the decision about when and when not, and how we can really create a balanced multi-region play in a way or another. Having all of this, I've been really looking for the 3 ingredients for almost 1.5 years till I landed on the right people, partners, team, who believes in the same story and can really make it happen as a new beginning, but this time with much let's say, bigger, stronger, robust kind of team compared to the days of Tpay as well. I have very high dreams that, I mean, energy, Sand is...
What does it do?
Sand is a platform, it's a B2B platform that is built from scratch to serve the energy ops in the region. Energy is a very underserved kind of sector in terms of technology. It is the future of our survival across the world. Lots and lots of evolutions and new incumbents and partnerships and connecting dots are happening across the region. And you know, in technology has to have a play, a convergence between sectors like tech and fintech and collaboration tech, etc., is going to happen. So I feel that there is real value that we can add here, and it's still in the early days of the sector. We have a lot to shape around us in order to make it happen. And yeah, it's a journey and it's just starting. But I'm so excited to have it in partnership with one of the very robust kind of players in the region, not only in Egypt as well.
It's fantastic. Sahar, this is so inspiring. Thank you so much for all the work you've done. Mabruk on the first Dragon exit.
Thank you very much.
Mabruk on the next launch.
Thank you.
And always happy to have you as a mentor for some of our startups and entrepreneurs. Thank you so
Pleasure,
much.
Ayman. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. My pleasure to be always here. Thank you. Bye.